The Tree by Adrienne Rich. Adrienne Rich was a prominent American poet, essayist, and feminist. Her work explored themes of identity, sexuality, and social justice, profoundly influencing feminist literature and activism in the 20th century. So, this is about her. So, let us enjoy the trees. Before we read, let us think of this statement. Can there be a forest without trees? Where are the trees in this poem and where do they go? So the two questions will get the answer after the explanation. So let us understand stanza wise or line by line. So here Andrew Rich's poem The Tree uses vivid imagery and personification to explore the themes of transformation and displacement. The trees inside are moving out into the forest. The forest that was empty all these days, where no birds could sit, no insect hide, no sun bury its feet in shadow. The forest that was empty all these nights will be full of trees by morning. So, here in this stanza, the first line, it creates the visual image of trees moving, indicating a transition from one place to another. And in the second line, the forest that was empty all these days emphasizes the emptiness of the forest, contrasting it with the coming change. And third line, where no birds could sit, suggests the forests are barren and lifeless. No insect hide. Here, the poet continues with the theme of the forest barrenness. No sun bury its feet in shadow. Here, the poet metaphorically describes the sun's interaction with the forest, highlighting the lack of life. The forest that was empty all these nights. Here it reiterates, the poet is reiterating the forest emptiness, building anticipation for its transformation, will be full of trees by morning. So here the poet predicts a significant change in the forest condition. So this is all about the first stanza, and the poetic device that it is used here is of repetition, imagery, and repetition. Okay, so these three poetic device the poetist had used here. Next stanza, all night the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. The leaves strain towards the glass, small twigs stiff with exertion, long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof like newly discharged pa- patients, half dazed, moving to the clinic doors. Here, the poet says that roots are described as actively working, suggesting a sense of agency and effort to disengage themselves from the cracks, creates a visual image of roots freeing themselves from confinement. In the veranda floor, establish the setting where the trees were previously confined. The leaves strain toward glass toward the glass. Here the poet tells that leaves are depicted as straining, indicating their desire to break free. Small twigs stiff with exertion. Here it says that twigs are described as stiff, emphasizing their effort to move. Long cramped box bouts shuffling under the roof. Bouts are described as cramped and shuffling, highlighting their struggle to move. Like newly discharged patients, compares the tree's movement to that of patients living in a hospital, illustrating the relief and awkwardness. Half-dazed moving conveys the disorientation and effort of the trees as they move to the clinic doors. Here, it refers to the doors as clinic doors, implying a sense of recovery and transition. The poetic device here the poetist had used is of personification, simile, and imagery along with the metaphor. These are the poetic devices that the poet had used in this stanza. What are they? Personification, simile, imagery, and metaphor. I sit inside doors open to the veranda, writing long letters in which I scarcely mention the departure of the forest from the house. The night is fresh, the whole moon shines in a sky still open, the smell of leaves into the rooms. Here I sit inside doors open to the veranda. The poet establishes the speaker's position, observing the transformation from within. Writing long letters suggests the speaker is engaged in a reflective or mundane task in which I scarcely mention the departure. Here, the poet indicates that the speaker is not fully acknowledging the significance of the tree's departure of the forest from the house. The poet highlights the separation between the house and the forest in this line, and the night is fresh, the whole moon shines. Here, the poet creates a vivid image of the night and the moon, enhancing the atmosphere in a sky still open, suggests a sense of vastness and freedom. The smell of leaves and lichen. The poet evokes sensory experience, adding to the atmosphere of the scene still reaches like a voice into the rooms. Finally, the poet compares the smell to a voice, indicating its presence and influence. So, overall, the poetic device in this the poet had used is of imagery, metaphor, and simile. This poetic device he had used. Moving with the other stanza, my head is full of whispers which tomorrow will be silent. Listen, the glass is breaking, the trees are stumbling forward into the night, winds rush to meet them, the moon is broken like a mirror, its pieces flash now in the crown of the tallest oak. So, finally, in the last stanza, my head is full of whispers. The poet describes the speaker's thoughts or the atmosphere as filled with whispers, indicating a sense of anticipation, which tomorrow will be silent. Here, the poet suggests that the current activity or energy will cease. Listen, the glass is breaking. Here the poet creates a dramatic image of breaking glass, signaling a significant change. The trees are stumbling forward into the night. The poet reminds that the trees are described as stumbling, indicating their awkward movement. Wind rushed to meet them. Here the poet again says that winds are depicted as actively engaging with the trees, adding to the sense of dynamic movement. The moon is broken like a mirror. Here, the poet compares the moon to a broken mirror, suggesting fragmentation and change. Its pieces flash now in the crown. Here, the poet creates visual image of the moon's reflection, enhancing the sense of transformation. And of all the tallest oak. Here, the poet concludes with a vivid image of moon's reflection to the oak tree. So, overall, the poem uses personification, imagery, and simile to explore themes of change, transformation, and the relationship between nature and the domestic space. So finally, we have ended our explanation with uh, the trees. What Andrin Rich wants us to understand. So finally, to sum up about the poem is that in Adrian Rich's poem, The Trees, nature reclaims its freedom as the trees, confined indoors, move toward the forest. The once empty forest is anticipated to be filled by morning as roots disengage from veranda cracks and branches strain towards freedom like patients leaving a hospital. The speaker writes letters barely acknowledging the tree's departure. The night air carries the scent of leaves, but whispers will cease by morning. As the trees breaks through the glass and stumble into the night, winds greet them, and the shattered moon reflects in the oak's crown. So finally, the moral that we get here in this Adrian that the point suggests that nature cannot be confined. Nature cannot be confined and will eventually reclaim its freedom. So thank you for spending your time, for listening the discussion about the trees. Read and revise. Enjoy yourself. Thank you and take care.